Gina woke up to the sound of screaming alarms. Smoke filled her bedroom. She jumped out of bed and grabbed her uniform jacket. Something was burning in her apartment. The fire alarm was so loud she could barely think. "Cubs, where are you?" she shouted. 3 small shapes appeared in her doorway. They looked like insects with hard shells and 4 arms each. Their shells were covered in black ash. These were Velthran children, and humans called them cubs. They lived with Gina for only 5 days. Their spaceship broke down, and their parents were in the hospital. Gina said she would take care of them for a little while. "Commander Gina, we made breakfast," the oldest cub said. His name was Tix. He had a small computer in his head that changed his clicking sounds into Korean words. "We watched videos about human breakfast." Gina ran to her kitchen. She stopped and stared. Everything was a mess. Her coffee maker was in pieces on the floor. The food machine was smoking and making weird sounds. Purple foam dripped from it onto the counter. 3 pans sat on the hot stove. Strange things bubbled in each pan. One pan had something that moved by itself. "Oh no," Gina said quietly. The middle cub, Miri, stepped forward. Her shell was darker than the others. "We studied for many hours. We wanted to thank you for letting us stay here. The smallest cub was named Juan. He was very quiet and shy. He walked up to Gina, holding a plate. On the plate was something black and round. It had small rocks, or maybe berries, stuck in it. "I made pancake," Juan said in a tiny voice. His 4 little arms shook as he held the plate. Gina felt her heart melt. These cubs tried so hard to do something nice. Yes. They made a huge mess. Yes. The fire alarm was still screaming. Yes. Her apartment was full of smoke, but they did it because they cared about her. She got down on her knees so she could look at Juan's face. She took the plate from him. "Thank you, Juan. This was very sweet of you. But we made fire," Tix said sadly. "We made bad fire. We are sorry." Gina touched a button on her wrist computer. "This is Commander Gina. Small fire in my apartment. Everything is okay now. No one is hurt. I need someone to fix my kitchen." A man's voice came from her computer. "Commander, I see 3 alien cubs with you. Should I send a doctor?" No, Chief. They are fine. Just send someone to clean up the mess. And maybe..." Gina looked at the destroyed kitchen again. "Maybe we should eat breakfast somewhere else today. Unround. The station cafeteria opens soon, Commander." "Might be a good idea." Thanks, Chief." Gina looked at the 3 cubs. They stood together in a small group. Their big eyes looked sad. Their shells drooped. The translator computers made their voices sound very upset. She opened her arms. "Come here, all of you." The cubs ran to her. They wrapped all 12 of their arms around her in a big hug. Their shells felt warm and smooth, like rocks in the sun. They smelled like cinnamon and electricity. "I am not angry," Gina said softly. She rubbed Miri's head where her antennae stuck out. "I know you wanted to make me happy. That means more to me than a working kitchen. But human kitchens are dangerous," Tix said. "We should have asked for help first." "Yes, you should have. But you learned something today, right?" All 3 cubs nodded. "Good. Next time, we cook together. I will teach you the safe way." "Deal? Deal," they all said at once. People from the maintenance crew started arriving. They looked at the smoking food machine and the mess on the stove. One woman smiled at the cubs. "You 3 made all this?" "We tried to make breakfast," Miri explained. "We failed very badly." "Well, you tried. That counts for something." The woman started cleaning up the purple foam. Gina noticed the cubs were wearing something on their hands. Her oven mittens. Each cub wore 3 mittens, one on each of their 4 hands. They had tried to be safe. They really did try. "Let's get you 3 cleaned up," Gina said. "Then we go eat real breakfast in the cafeteria." She helped them wash the ash off their shells. She found clean clothes for them to wear, small uniforms that the station doctor made special for Velthran bodies. When they were ready, they left the apartment together. The station's cafeteria was big and bright. Hundreds of beings from many different worlds ate breakfast there. When Gina walked in with the cubs, everyone stopped talking. They all looked at her. Then someone started clapping. Soon everyone was clapping and laughing. Gina felt her face get hot. This was embarrassing. A tall man walked up to her. His name was Minho, and he worked with Gina. He was smiling very big. "Commander, I heard the cubs tried to make you breakfast. Is your apartment okay?" "Barely," Gina said. "Who told everyone?" "Chief sent a message to the whole station about not using food machines without training. He maybe mentioned what happened. I need to talk to the chief." Too late. Half the station wants to adopt the cubs now. Everyone thinks they are adorable. Gina looked down at her 3 small charges. Tix was staring at all the different aliens in the room. His antennae wiggled with excitement. Miri was reading the menu boards, trying to understand all the different languages. Little Juan pressed himself against Gina's leg. He was scared of the big crowd. She put her hand on his head. "They are not for adoption. They go back to their spaceship when it gets fixed." Minho's face became softer. "Of course. But it is nice to see you taking care of someone. You are always so alone." "Rever, I am going to pretend I did not hear that." They got food from the service line. The cubs were very happy to find Velthran food paste. They could eat it safely. They sat at a table near the big windows. Outside, a beautiful blue and green planet hung in space. The station orbited around it. Many people came to their table to say hello. A doctor brought safety books about human kitchens, already translated into Velthran language. A young soldier said he would teach the cubs to play football. Even the station's main captain stopped by. "Commander Gina," the captain said. She was an old woman with gray hair and a serious face. "I approved your request to keep the cubs longer. Their spaceship needs more repair time." "I did not make a request," Gina said, confused. "No. But Chief did it for you. He said the cubs need stability. He also said they were the cutest disaster he ever saw. And..." Gina laughed. She could not help it. After the captain left, Miri pulled on Gina's sleeve. "Commander Gina, why are so many humans smiling at us? We learned that humans show teeth as a threat." "Not always, Miri. When humans smile, it means they are happy. Right now, everyone is happy because you 3 tried to do something kind. Even though it did not work perfectly. But we broke your kitchen," Tix said. Gina looked at the 3 small faces watching her. She thought about all the mornings she woke up alone. She thought about how empty her life had been. She forgot what it felt like to be needed for something besides work. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "trying to be kind is more important than doing things perfectly. You wanted to make me happy. That is worth more than any kitchen." Juan's antennae stood up straight. "So, we are not in trouble?" "You are not in trouble. But we are going to have cooking lessons. Safe ones." "Together?" all 3 cubs asked. "Together," Gina promised. As they finished eating, Gina's computer beeped. A new message appeared. "Welcome to the Parent Club, Commander. You will need this." Someone sent her a big file about how to handle emergencies with children. The sender was the station captain. Gina smiled. Maybe taking care of cubs would not be so hard after all. She had help. The whole station wanted to help. The cubs tried to make her breakfast and called the fire department by accident. But they also called something else to her life. Community. Family. Friends. For a woman who spent years alone, that was worth everything. The whole station knew about the breakfast fire by evening. Gina found this out when she went to the cafeteria the next morning. She held hands with the cubs as they walked in. Well, Juan held her hand, with 2 of his 4 hands. The other cubs walked beside her. When they entered, people started clapping again. This time, it was louder. Gina wanted to disappear. Her face felt hot. She was a commander in the military. She fought in 3 wars. She led important missions. But now everyone knew her as the woman whose alien cubs almost burned down her apartment. Minho walked up to them. He was grinning like a fool. "Commander! Good morning! How is everyone today?" "We are fine, Lieutenant," Gina said. She used his rank to remind him to be professional. "The apartment is fixed now." "And, I heard," Chief said, "the cubs made quite an impression on the maintenance crew." "What do you mean?" "They are telling everyone how cute the cubs looked in oven mittens." One woman took pictures. Those pictures are now in every department on the station. Gina closed her eyes. Of course there were pictures. Wonderful. Wonderful? Tix looked up at Minho. "Are the pictures good quality? We would like to see our documentation." "Very good quality. I can send them to your commander's computer." "Please do not," Gina said quickly. But it was too late. The cubs were excited now. "We want to see. We want to see," they all said together. They got breakfast and sat down. The cubs ate their Velthrin food paste happily. Today it was bright orange instead of purple. Gina ate eggs and toast. Real eggs this time, not burned ones. A woman with gray hair came to their table. She was a doctor named Unji. She smiled at the cubs. "Good morning. I brought you something." She put 3 small books on the table. Each book had pictures and words. "These are about kitchen safety. I translated them into your language. Now you can learn the right way to cook." "Thank you, Doctor." Miri took a book and started reading immediately. Her eyes moved fast across the pages. "This is very informative. Did you know that earth cooking oil can reach temperatures of 190 degrees Celsius before smoking?" "I did not know that," Unji said, looking impressed. A young man in a security uniform stopped by next. His name was Jiho. "Commander, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Corporal. I heard the cubs are staying with you." "I grew up with younger brothers and sisters. I know how to take care of children. If you need help, I can watch them during your work hours." Tix jumped up excitedly. "You know games? Human games?" Jiho smiled. "I know many games. We want to learn football. I can teach you football. Commander, if you approve?" Gina nodded. "Yes, that would be helpful. Thank you, Corporal." More and more people stopped by their table. Everyone wanted to meet the cubs. Everyone wanted to help. A cook brought special treats. An engineer offered to show them how the station worked. A pilot said she would take them to see the flight deck. Finally, the station's main captain came. Captain Sora was a serious woman. She ran the station with strict rules. Everyone respected her, but many people were also a little afraid of her. She stopped at their table and looked at the cubs. "Commander Gina," she said formally. Gina stood up. "Captain, the Cubs' spaceship needs more repair time. The damage was worse than we thought. It will be 3 more weeks before they can return." 3 more weeks. Gina felt something strange in her chest. Relief. Happiness. But also worry. "I understand. Captain, can you continue caring for them?" "Yes, ma'am." The captain's serious face changed a little. She almost smiled. "Good. The station needs more moments like your breakfast fire." "Good. Captain? Not the fire itself, Commander, but the way everyone came together to help. The way people are smiling more. The way different species are talking to each other more. This station is a military post. We follow rules and do our duty. But we forget sometimes that we are also a community." The cubs reminded us of that. Gina did not know what to say. The captain nodded and walked away. "She is a very important human," Juan whispered. "We should have stood up." "You are fine, Juan. She knows you are young." After breakfast, they walked through the station. The cubs wanted to see everything. They stopped at every window to look at the planet below. They asked questions about every machine they saw. They wanted to know how the lights worked, where the air came from, why the gravity felt normal when they were in space. Gina tried to answer all their questions. When she did not know something, they would ask other people. Everyone was patient with them. Everyone explained things in simple words. They passed the fire department office. The door was open. Inside, Gina could see firefighters cleaning their equipment. One man looked up and saw them. He waved. "That is one of the humans who came when we made fire," Tix said. "Can we say thank you?" "That is a good idea," Gina said. They went inside. The firefighters all turned to look. One man stood up. He was tall and had thick eyebrows. His uniform said his name was Hyun-woo Song. He was the fire marshal. "Commander Gina," he said, "and the famous Cubs, welcome. We wanted to say sorry," Miri said quickly. "And thank you. We should not have used the food machine without permission. And we should not have turned on the stove," Tix added. "And we should not have tried to make pancakes alone," Hwan finished quietly. Marshal Hyunwoo looked at them seriously. Then his face became softer. "You three made a mistake. But you learned from it. Right?" "Yes, sir," they all said. "Then, that is what matters. We all make mistakes. The important thing is learning to be safer. We are studying kitchen safety now," Miri said. She held up her book. "We have learned 17 new safety rules since yesterday." 17? That is impressive. We have very good memory, Tix explained. Velthrin Cubs learn fast. Marshal Hyunwoo smiled. "I can see that. Tell me, would you like to learn about firefighting?" 6 compound eyes went wide. "Really?" They all asked together. "Really? We teach safety classes to station residents. You three could definitely use some lessons, if your commander agrees." "And," Gina nodded. "I think that is an excellent idea. Then come back tomorrow at 1,400 hours. Wear comfortable clothes. We will teach you about fire, safety, and emergency response." The Cubs were so excited they started bouncing. Their antennae waved in the air. "Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!" As they left the fire station, the Cubs talked non-stop about their upcoming lesson. They were so happy they could barely walk straight. Hwan held Gina's hand tighter. "This is the best day," he said. Gina looked down at him. "Better than yesterday when you tried to make pancakes? Yesterday, we made mistakes. Today, we make friends. Friends are better." She could not argue with that logic. They spent the rest of the day exploring. The Cubs met dozens of people from dozens of different worlds. Each person was kind to them. Each person wanted to help. By the evening, the Cubs had invitations to visit engineering, medical, science, agriculture, and even the station command center. "Everyone is so nice," Miri said as they walked back to the apartment. "Why? We are just temporary residents. We will leave soon." Gina thought about how to answer. "Because that is what good people do. They help others, even if those others will not stay forever. Every moment of kindness matters." "Is that a human philosophy?" Tix asked. "It is a philosophy for anyone who wants to be good." That night, after the Cubs were in bed, Gina sat alone in her living room. She looked at her computer screen. Messages filled it. People asking if she needed help with the Cubs. People offering to teach them things. People sharing funny stories about their own children. People she had worked with for years, but never really talked to. One message was from Captain Sora. "Commander, thank you for taking in the Cubs. You are setting a good example for the whole station. This is what we should be. A community that helps each other. A family that crosses species and ranks. Keep up the good work." Gina felt tears in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. She was a military commander. She should not cry over messages. But these were not normal times. For years, she focused only on duty. She followed orders, led missions, and kept to herself. She thought that made her strong. Now she realized it just made her lonely. The Cubs changed everything in just 2 days. They tried to make breakfast and failed, but they also showed her something important. Asking for help was not weakness. Making mistakes was not failure. Opening your heart to others was not dangerous. It was the bravest thing you could do. She saved all the messages in a special folder. She marked it family, even though that was not a proper military filing category. Tomorrow the cubs would learn about firefighting. The day after, they would learn about football. Next week, they would visit engineering and agriculture. They would meet more people and make more friends. And Gina would be there, watching them grow, learning how to be something more than just a commander. The cubs tried to make her breakfast. They made a mess instead. But they also made something else. They made the station feel like home. Gina stood in the community kitchen with her arms crossed. 3 small cubs sat on special stools in front of her. They wore tiny aprons. Tix's apron said, "Sous Chef." Miri's said, "Master Baker." Juan said, "Helper," with a little heart symbol next to the word. Dr. Unji made the aprons last night. Gina had no idea how the doctor worked so fast. Rule number 1, Gina said in her commander voice. Nobody touches anything without asking first. Yes, Commander. Rule number 2, we clean up as we cook. We do not make a giant mess and clean later. Yes, Commander. Rule number 3, cooking takes time. We go slow. We are careful. We are patient. Understood? Understood. Minho stood next to the food storage units. He grew up in his family's restaurant back on Earth. He knew how to cook many things. He agreed to help teach the cubs today. Today we are making simple human breakfast, Gina announced. Eggs, toast, and fruit. Nothing complicated. Nothing that causes fires. Question. Miri raised one of her 4 hands. Why do humans eat chicken embryos? Gina had prepared for this. Eggs are not actually embryos. They are unfertilized. The eggs we eat would never become chickens. They are just protein packages. Oh. Like our nutrition paste. Exactly like that. Minho brought out a carton of practice eggs. These are not real eggs. They are training eggs. They look and feel like real eggs. But they are actually protein simulators. Perfect for learning. Fascinating, Miri said. She picked up an egg carefully with 2 hands. The shape is very efficient for storage and protection. Now, let me show you how to crack an egg, Gina said. She picked up an egg and a bowl. You tap it gently on the edge. Not too hard. Then you pull the shell apart with your thumbs. She cracked the egg perfectly. The inside poured into the bowl with no shell pieces. That looks easy, Tix said. It takes practice. Now you try. Tix picked up 4 eggs, 1 in each hand. I will crack all 4 at once. Tix. No. Too late. He smacked all 4 eggs on the bowl edge at the same time. Shells exploded everywhere. Egg inside splattered on the counter, the floor, and Tix's apron. Gina took a deep breath. That is okay. This is why we practice. Try again with 1 egg this time. Miri approached her egg like a science experiment. She measured the angle. She calculated the force needed. She tapped the egg exactly right. The shell cracked perfectly. But then, she spent 10 minutes carefully removing every tiny piece of shell with tweezers. Miri. It is fine to be careful, but you do not need tweezers. But there are microscopic shell fragments. Small shell bits are okay. We can pick out the big pieces later. Juan was afraid of his egg. He held it so gently it barely touched the bowl. I do not want to break it wrong. You cannot break it wrong, Gina said softly. She put her hands over his. Here, I will help you. Together, they cracked the egg. Juan smiled so big his antennae wiggled. They practiced for 30 minutes. Tix finally learned to crack 1 egg at a time. Miri stopped using tweezers. Juan gained confidence. By the 20th try, all 3 cubs could crack eggs properly. Excellent work, Gina said. She showed them how to whisk eggs, how to add a little bit of salt, how to heat a pan to the right temperature. The cubs watched everything with intense focus. Their compound eyes did not blink. When you cook eggs, you need to watch them carefully, Minho explained. They cook fast. If you look away, they burn. How fast? Tix asked. Very fast. That is why cooking needs your full attention. Each cub got their own pan and eggs. Gina helped Juan hold the whisk. Make circles. Gentle circles. You are mixing, not fighting. This feels nice, Juan said. The movement is calming. My grandmother always said cooking was peaceful, Minho agreed. The kitchen was where she relaxed. Tix stopped stirring. Commander Gina? Why do humans spend so much time cooking when food machines can make perfect nutrition in seconds? That was a good question. Most aliens in the galaxy used food machines. They could make any nutrient combination you needed. Cooking by hand was considered old and inefficient. Only humans and a few other species still did it. Gina thought about her answer. For humans, food is more than fuel. It is culture. It is memory. When I make my grandmother's recipes, I am not just making food. I am remembering her. I am honoring her. I am keeping her alive in my heart. All three cubs stopped working. They looked at her with their big eyes. We have memory ceremonies, Miri said slowly. When a Velthran dies, we preserve their neural patterns in crystal. We meditate with the crystals to feel connected to those who came before. It is the same idea, Gina realized. Different method, same purpose. We want to maintain bonds across time and space. Then cooking is a human memory ceremony, Tix said. That is why you were not very angry when we tried to make you breakfast. We were trying to participate in your ritual. Yes. Exactly. The moment felt important and warm. Then Juan's timer beeped. His eggs were ready. The cubs carefully moved their cooked eggs onto plates. The eggs were not perfect. Tix's were a little too brown. Miri's were slightly watery. But they were real. The cubs made them with their own 4 hands. Now we make toast, Gina said. She pulled out a simple toaster. This is very safe. You put bread in these slots. You push this lever down. You wait. The toast pops up when ready. It is elegantly simple, Miri said. She examined the toaster carefully. Resistance heating with automatic timing. Human engineering often favors simplicity. Simple means safe, Minho said. Simple means less can go wrong. They toasted bread. No problems, no fires, no alarms. The cubs added butter and arranged fruit on their plates. When they were finished, each cub had made a complete breakfast. We did it! Juan bounced with excitement. We made breakfast and nothing burned. This deserves celebration, Gina said. Let us eat together. They sat at a large table. The cubs looked at their food with pride before eating. Gina watched them taste what they created. They were really experiencing the food, not just consuming nutrition. Commander Gina? Tix asked between bites. Can I ask something personal? Of course. Do you have cubs of your own? Human cubs? The question hurt more than Gina expected. She put down her fork. No. I chose a military career. That career did not leave room for family. I thought duty was enough. 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. But now? Miri asked gently. Now I am not sure. You 3 are showing me what I have been missing. She smiled at them. Thank you for that. We are grateful you shelter us, Juan said formally. Our spaceship is broken. Our parents are recovering in the hospital. Without your kindness, we would be in standard child holding. Which is terrible, Tix added. All white walls and no windows. We researched it. Well, you are not there. You are here with me. Learning to make breakfast without calling the fire department. Gina raised her juice glass. To successful cooking lessons. The cubs copied her gesture. To not making fires, they said together. After eating, They cleaned up. The cubs had memorized all the proper kitchen protocols with their excellent Velthrin memory. They washed dishes, wiped counters, and put everything away correctly. Gina's wrist computer beeped. A message from Chief appeared. Heard the cooking lesson went well. Community kitchen reports 0 fire alarms. You are doing great, Commander. 3. She smiled and showed the message to Minho. He laughed. You are becoming famous on the station. The cub teacher. I have been called worse things. As they left the community kitchen, the cubs talked excitedly about tomorrow's lesson. They wanted to learn how to make rice. Gina listened to their chatter and felt something warm in her chest. For years, she defined herself by her rank and her missions. She measured success by completed objectives and military efficiency. Now, she was also someone who taught small aliens how to crack eggs. Someone who measured success by properly toasted bread and happy 4-armed hugs. The cubs tried to make her breakfast and called the fire department by accident. But they also brought something else into her life. They brought purpose beyond duty. They brought joy beyond accomplishment. They brought family beyond blood. As Juan grabbed her hand with 2 of his 4 small hands, Gina realized something important. She spent years building walls around her heart. She thought those walls made her strong, but real strength was not about walls. Real strength was letting people in. Real strength was choosing to care, even when it made you vulnerable, even when it hurt. 3 small aliens taught her that lesson. They taught her through burned pancakes and eggshell disasters and patient cooking lessons. They taught her that the best moments in life were not the perfect ones. They were the messy ones. The ones where you tried and failed and tried again together. The cubs would eventually leave. Their spaceship would get fixed. They would return to their parents and their colony. That day would be sad. But Gina would not trade these weeks for anything. These cubs reminded her how to be more than just a commander. They reminded her how to be human. And that was worth every burned fabricator, every fire alarm, every cracked egg in the galaxy. On day 8 of fostering the cubs, Gina got an unexpected visitor. Marshal Hyunwoo from the fire department requested a meeting. He arrived at exactly 1,400 hours with 2 junior firefighters. They carried large equipment cases. Commander Gina, he said formally. Permission to enter? Of course, Marshal. But I promise we have had no more fires since. This is not about discipline, he interrupted. His serious face became softer. May we come in? Gina stepped aside, curious. The cubs immediately ran to the visitors, chittering with excitement. You are the fire humans, Tix announced. The ones who came when we made the breakfast disaster. We studied your profession. Miri added. She held up her tablet computer. Fire suppression requires knowledge of combustion chemistry, thermal dynamics, and rapid response. Marshal Hyunwoo's serious expression cracked into a smile. You studied firefighting? Of course. All 3 cubs said together. The Marshal looked at Gina. She shrugged. They research every profession they meet. Yesterday was waste management. Day before was xenobiology. Velthrin cubs are very curious, the Marshal said. Then he knelt down to the cubs' level. That is why we are here. My department has a community program. We teach station residents about fire safety and emergency response. After hearing about your enthusiasm for cooking, I thought you 3 would benefit from personal training. 6 compound eyes went wide. You would teach us? Personally? More than that. The Marshal gestured to his junior firefighters. They began opening their cases. We want to make you honorary junior firefighters. If Commander Gina approves. Gina felt surprised by how kind this was. Marshal, this is very generous. But, Commander, those cubs tried to make you breakfast and almost caused a station emergency. But they did it from love. That is the same spirit that drives every firefighter, wanting to help, even when we do not know how. He looked at the cubs again. We take care of our own. Even the small. 4 armed ones. How could she say no to that? Permission granted, Marshal. What happened next was possibly the cutest thing Gina had seen in 15 years of military service. The junior firefighters pulled out miniature firefighting gear. It was custom-made for Velthrin bodies. We had the biology department help with sizing, said Subin, a cheerful young woman. She helped Miri into a tiny fire-resistant jacket with 4 armholes. And the engineering department modified helmets to work with your antennae. This is amazing, Juan shouted. His helmet was a little too big. I am a fire warrior. That is firefighter, corrected Taehyun, a tall young man. He adjusted Juan's chin strap. And we fight fires, not people. For the next 2 hours, Marshal Hyunwoo taught the most complete fire safety course Gina had ever seen. He taught the cubs about the fire triangle. Fire needs 3 things: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Remove one thing, and the fire dies. He demonstrated different types of fire extinguishers. He explained the station's emergency evacuation routes. The cubs absorbed everything with intense focus. They asked questions that became more and more technical. Marshal Hyunwoo, Tix asked, if there was a Class D fire in the engineering section, would you need special suppression to prevent atmospheric contamination? The Marshal blinked in surprise. That is, yes. Exactly right. How old are you? Fia. 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 7 standard years. Why? Because you just answered a question from our advanced certification exam. He looked at Gina with respect. Commander, these cubs are exceptionally intelligent. I am learning that every day. The lesson ended with a practical exercise. The cubs had to use training extinguishers to put out fake fires in a safe environment. Watching them work was fascinating. They figured out how to use their 4 arms together. 3 arms aimed and stabilized the extinguisher. The 4th arm worked the controls. Natural firefighters. Subin whispered to Gina. Most species take weeks to develop that coordination. When training finished, Marshal Hyunwoo gave each cub an official certificate. It said, Honorary Junior Firefighter. Please Rees. Station Kepler 442. The cubs held them like precious treasures. Their antennae vibrated with happiness. You 3 did excellent work today, the Marshal said formally. But I need one promise from you. They stood straight like little soldiers, copying Gina's military posture. Yes, Marshal? Promise me that if you are ever unsure about something, especially things with heat, electricity, or chemicals, you will ask an adult first. Being brave does not mean being reckless. The best firefighters know when to call for backup. We promise, they said solemnly. After the firefighters left, the cubs spent an hour arranging their certificates on the wall. They put on their miniature fire gear over and over, practicing their emergency response poses. Gina watched from the doorway. Something warm and tight filled her chest. These cubs came into her life by accident. They were supposed to stay a few days until their spaceship got fixed. Now it had been over a week. She could not imagine her apartment without their cheerful sounds, their endless questions, their 4 armed hugs. Her computer beeped. A message from Captain Sora appeared. Commander, update on the spaceship Bright Wings. Repairs are taking longer. Will require 3 more weeks minimum. Continue current fostering arrangements. The cubs seem beneficial for station morale. And, possibly for yours, 3 more weeks. That meant nearly a full month total with the cubs. Gina should have felt burdened. She had duties and responsibilities. Her command position demanded focus. Instead, she felt relieved, grateful, even. Commander Gina? Miri appeared in the doorway. She still wore her tiny firefighter helmet. Can I ask another personal question? Always. When we return to Bright Wings, will we be able to communicate with you? Can we stay connected? The question hurt Gina's heart. She had been avoiding thinking about their departure. She lived in the comfortable present. But Miri's question forced her to face it. These cubs would leave, eventually. That was always the plan. She knelt down and pulled Miri into a hug. Of course we will stay connected. I will give you my personal communication code. We can talk anytime you want, but it will not be the same, Miri said quietly. You will not be there when we wake up. We will not make breakfast together. No, Gina admitted. Her voice was thick with emotion. It will not be the same. Tix and Juan joined the hug. They created a small pile of limbs and chitin and feelings. We know we must return to our people, Tix said sadly. The colony ship is our home. Our parents are there. But you are here, Juan finished. And here is nice. Gina held them close. These small aliens had somehow filled empty spaces in her life. Spaces she did not know existed. Here is very nice, she agreed. And we have 3 more weeks to enjoy it, so let us make them count. That evening, Gina did something she never thought she would do. She went to the station parent support group. Captain Sora had mentioned it before. Gina almost did not go. Commander Gina Park did not need support groups. She was the ice commander, self-sufficient, strong, independent. But then she thought about the cubs sleeping peacefully in her guest room. She thought about how much she had changed in just over a week. Maybe being strong did not mean being alone. Maybe asking for help was okay. So she went. The group met in a cozy corner of the community center. About 15 people were there. Various ranks and departments. All fostering or raising children on the station. They sat in comfortable chairs with warm lighting. Commander Gina. Dr. Unji waved her over. I am so glad you came. Everyone. This is Commander Gina. She is fostering the famous pancake cubs. Everyone laughed warmly. A lieutenant from engineering raised his drink. Welcome to the chaos, Commander. We are all disaster managers here. They shared stories for the next hour. Children who hacked the station's announcement system. Toddlers who found maintenance shafts. Teenagers who started illegal candy businesses. Every story was told with frustration and overwhelming love. The thing nobody tells you, said a sergeant from medical, is how much you will change. You think you are teaching them, but they are teaching you. About patience. About wonder. About what really matters. Gina thought about eggs and fire safety and four-armed hugs. Yes, she said softly. They really are. When she left the meeting, her computer beeped. Photos from Marshal Hyunwoo appeared. The cubs in their fire gear, smiling at the camera, holding their certificates proudly. The message said, "They are natural firefighters, Commander. The station is lucky to have them." You are lucky too. He was right. The cubs tried to make her breakfast and accidentally called the fire department. But the fire department became family, along with doctors, engineers, and a whole station full of people who rallied around 3 small aliens and 1 commander, learning to be more than her rank. Gina saved the photos in her personal files. She marked them, "Keep forever." 3 more weeks, she thought. Better make them count. She walked back to her apartment slowly. The station's artificial night had begun. Lights were dimmed. The halls were quiet. Through the windows, she could see the blue-green planet below. Stars stretched to infinity above. When she entered her apartment, she heard soft chittering from the guest room. The cubs were not asleep yet. They were probably looking at their firefighter certificates again, or maybe reading more safety manuals, or possibly planning their next adventure. Gina smiled. Her apartment used to be silent and empty. Now it was full of life and noise and love. For years, she thought silence meant peace. Now she knew better. Peace was not the absence of sound. Peace was the presence of people who mattered. Tomorrow they would continue their cooking lessons. The day after, Corporal Jiho would teach them football. Next week, They would visit the engineering section and learn how the station worked. Every day would bring new lessons, new adventures, new memories, and when the cubs eventually left, Gina would have those memories. She would have photos and messages, and the knowledge that she opened her heart to 3 small beings who needed her, that she chose to be more than just a commander, that she chose to be family. The cubs made her breakfast. Well, they tried to. They failed spectacularly. But they succeeded at something more important. They taught her that the strongest people are not the ones who need nobody. The strongest people are the ones who let others in. Gina woke up at 0300 hours. She should have been sleeping. Instead, she stood in the doorway of the guest room, watching the cubs sleep. Their antennae twitched with dreams. They made small clicking sounds. In 5 days, they would go back to their spaceship, back to their parents, back to their normal lives. 5 days until Gina's apartment became quiet and empty again. She had spent 3 weeks learning to be something other than just a commander. 3 weeks of breakfast lessons and fire safety courses and late-night questions about human emotions. 3 weeks of becoming family with 3 small aliens who crashed into her life through burning pancakes. She could not stop them from leaving. She would never want to. They belonged with their people. But she could give them something to remember. Something special. A proper meal. Not quick breakfast, but a real feast. Korean food. Her grandmother's recipes that she carried through space for 15 years like treasures. A thank you meal for everyone who helped with the cubs. A celebration of family, chosen and found. By 0600 hours, Gina had a plan. By 0800, she requested permission from Captain Sora to use the community center. By 1000, she had volunteers. You want to cook dinner for 50 people? Minho stared at her like she suggested jumping out the airlock. Commander, that is insane. I know. He grinned. Obviously, but we will need many hands. A message went out station-wide. Commander Gina requests help for farewell dinner. 1,800 hours. 5 days from now. Cooking experience optional. Enthusiasm required. The response was overwhelming. Marshal Hyunwoo volunteered his entire fire department. Dr. Unji offered the biology department's help to make sure food was safe for different species. Chief sent a message promising to keep all cooking equipment working perfectly. Even Captain Sora sent a note. I will bring dessert. Do not argue. The next 5 days were organized chaos. Gina taught cooking classes every evening. The community center was packed with volunteers, learning to make kimchi, bulgogi, japchae, and many other dishes. The cubs helped enthusiastically. Their forearms were perfect for prep work. Why do humans put so much work into food? Asked a Zelthian engineer. He struggled with his 3-fingered hands to cut vegetables. Because we are showing love, Gina explained. She helped him adjust his grip. Every cut, every stir, every adjustment of taste. It is care made physical. Ah, he said with understanding. Like how I calibrate engines. Each adjustment is love for my ship. Exactly. The cubs appointed themselves quality control. They tasted everything carefully. This kimchi needs more pepper, Miri declared after analysis. The fermentation is excellent, but the heat ratio is 0.7 when traditional recipes suggest 0.9. How do you even know that? Minho asked, amazed. We studied 17 hours of Korean cooking documentation, Tix explained. Commander Gina's grandmother's recipes are particularly well documented in her personal files. Gina felt tears in her eyes. They had gone through her family files, learning her history through food. You did not have to do that. We wanted to understand you. Juan said simply. Food is your memory ceremony. We needed to learn the memories. On the final day, the entire station mobilized. The community center transformed. Tables arranged in a large circle. Decorations hung by the biology team, mixing Korean traditional designs with Velthrin aesthetics. A massive cooking operation organized with military precision. Gina stood at the center, directing her volunteer army. Minho, check the japchae timing. Dr. Yoonji, is the temperature right for the kimchi? Marshal Hyunwoo, how is the bulgogi? Perfect, Commander. The Marshal called back. He managed 3 grills at once with practiced ease. The cubs were everywhere, small four-armed tornadoes of helpfulness. They designed the menu cards in 3 languages: Korean, Galactic Standard, and Velthrin. They arranged seating charts. They somehow convinced the station's quartermaster to donate his personal collection of traditional Korean pottery for serving dishes. At 1,730, Captain Sora arrived carrying a massive container. I said I would bring dessert. My wife's hotteok recipe. Do not ask how I got fresh dough in space. I would not dream of it, Captain. At 1,800 hours, guests began arriving. But not just the volunteers. The invitation had spread. Engineers, scientists, security officers, cargo handlers, representatives from many different species, all crowding into the community center with smiles. Commander, Corporal Jiho waved from the entrance. We have twice the expected people. Should I let them all in? Gina decided. We will make it work. And they did. The meal was not elegant. People ate standing, sitting on floors, perched on counters. Multiple species with different biologies could not eat Korean food, so impromptu cooking stations appeared. Velthrin nutrition paste, Zelthian protein spheres, Korthan atmospheric nutrients. It was messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Marshal Hyunwoo stood on a table, calling for attention. I want to make a toast. 3 weeks ago, 3 small cubs tried to make breakfast and nearly burned down the station. Today, those same cubs helped prepare a feast for hundreds. That is growth. Laughter and cheers erupted. The cubs, sitting with Gina at the center table, waved their antennae proudly, but seriously. The Marshal continued softly. These cubs reminded us of something important. Stations like Kepler 442 are more than duty posts. They are communities. They are families. We take care of each other. We teach each other. We feed each other. That is what makes us people. Whatever our species. To the cubs, and to Commander Gina, for taking them in. To the cubs! Everyone shouted, raising glasses and mugs. As the meal continued, people shared stories. Corporal Jiho talked about teaching the cubs football. They invented a 4-armed variation that was somehow better. Dr. Yoonji described their endless questions about biology. Chief recounted rescuing them from a maintenance duct they explored for science. Gina listened, her heart impossibly full. 3 weeks ago, she was the ice commander. Respected, efficient, isolated. Now she was surrounded by people who became family. Celebrating 3 small aliens who changed everything. Tix tugged on her sleeve. Commander Gina? May we say something? Of course. The 3 cubs stood on their chairs. Minho spotted them for safety. The crowd quieted. We are Tix, Miri, and Juan, of the Bright Wings colony ship. Tix began formally. 3 weeks ago, we tried to make breakfast for Commander Gina as gratitude. We failed spectacularly. Miri added, getting laughs. But Commander Gina did not punish us, Juan continued. She taught us, fed us, made us family. Our research suggested this was unusual, Tix said. Humans are protective, territorial, often suspicious of other species. But everyone here showed us differently. Miri pulled out her tablet. In 3 weeks we received 87 cooking lessons, 42 safety trainings, 19 game instructions, 12 bedtime stories, and approximately 6,000 individual acts of kindness from 93 different individuals across 22 species. That is very specific. Someone called. We are Velthrin. We count everything, all three cubs said together, getting more laughs. But the data does not capture how you made us feel. Juan said softly. Safe. Wanted. Loved. We return to Bright Wings tomorrow, Tix continued. We will rejoin our parents, who we missed. But we will also miss all of you. So we want to say thank you. Miri's voice shook. For the fire training, and the games, and the lessons, and the stories. For becoming our family when we needed one. We tried to make breakfast, Juan finished. And you gave us a home. Silence followed. Then Captain Sora stood. The severe woman's eyes were wet. Cubs of the Bright Wings, the captain said formally. Station Kepler 442 grants you permanent family status. You will always have a home here. This is logged and official. The cub's antennae went rigid with shock. Captain. That is, we do not. It is done. Do not argue. Captain Sora sat down, wiping her eyes without shame. The rest of the evening became a blur of joy. People shared food across species barriers. The cubs taught humans Velthran meditation. Marshal Hyunwoo's team performed a comedy show about the original breakfast fire. Minho found a karaoke machine. The night became multilingual. Multi-species singing that definitely violated noise rules. At 2,300 hours, as the party wound down, Gina found herself on the observation deck with the cubs. Below, the blue-green planet rotated peacefully. Above, stars stretched forever. Tomorrow we go home, Miri said quietly. Yes, Gina acknowledged. Are you ready? We miss our parents, Tix admitted. But we will miss you too. Is it possible to want two opposite things at the same time? That is called being alive, Gina said gently. And yes, it is normal. They sat in comfortable silence, four beings at the edge of space, bound by breakfast fires and love. Commander Gina, Juan said eventually. When we are older, when we finish our education, may we return here? To Kepler 442? To work on the station? Gina asked. To be with family, he corrected. Gina pulled all three cubs close, her four-armed, chitin-plated, absolutely perfect temporary children. You will always be welcome here. Always. The next morning came too quickly. The Bright Wings docked. The cubs' parents arrived. They were recovered, healthy, and desperately grateful. Gina met them in the docking bay. The cubs wore their honorary firefighter certificates pinned to their travel packs. The reunions were tearful and joyful. The parents thanked Gina profusely. They promised to stay in touch, to facilitate continued contact, to never forget what Kepler 442 did for their family. When it was time for final goodbyes, Juan refused to let go of Gina's hand. I do not want to leave. I know, sweetness. But your parents need you. Your colony needs you. Will you forget us? Gina knelt down, gathering all three cubs one last time. Never. I could not, if I tried. You three changed my life. You made me remember what matters. That is not something you forget. We will call every week. Miri promised. We will send research papers, Tix added. We will come back, Juan insisted. I know you will. And I will be here, waiting. Gina kissed each head, between the antennae. Now go. Be brilliant. Make me proud. They walked onto the Bright Wings, looking back every few steps. Gina watched, until the airlock sealed, until the colony ship detached, until it jumped to faster than light speed. She stood there long after, staring at empty space. Minho appeared beside her. Silent support. You okay, Commander? No, Gina admitted. They changed things here. The station feels different now. More like family? Exactly like family. Walking back through the station's corridors, Gina noticed the differences. People smiled more. Different species mixed more freely. The community center had a waiting list for cooking classes. The fire department had a youth program now. 3 small cubs tried to make breakfast and accidentally called the fire department. But they also brought transformation. A reminder that communities are not built on duty alone, but on care, connection, and willingness to open doors to small disasters and find family on the other side. Gina's apartment felt enormous and empty, but on her wall, next to her military medals, hung 3 small drawings, crude sketches of a human woman and 3 Velthrin cubs, labeled in wobbly script, "Our family." Our family. She touched the drawing gently. In 3 weeks, 3 cubs taught her more than 15 years of service. They taught her that strength was not isolation. Strength was opening yourself to others, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. Her computer beeped. A message from an unknown number. "Commander Gina, we arrived home safely, sending coordinates for regular communication. This is Tix. We miss you already. Sending our first homework for you to review." Gina smiled through tears. She sent back, "Homework received. Proud of you already. Talk soon. Love, Commander Gina." The cubs tried to make her breakfast. They brought the fire department, the whole station, and eventually, the universe. And in doing so, they taught Commander Gina the most important lesson. The strongest walls are the ones you let down. The best families are the ones you build from love, disaster, and 4-armed hugs. Outside her window, stars wheeled through eternal night. Somewhere out there, 3 small cubs headed home, carrying memories of breakfast fires and found family. And here, on Station Kepler 442, one commander learned that home was not a place. Home was the people you let into your heart, even when they tried to burn down your kitchen. Especially then,